think she would be a good addition to this club, although I don't know if she's going to have time. But she said she would visit and also help spread the word. I think that's the most important thing. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing our screen. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Advanced Toastmasters Online. Here are a couple online meeting tips. Mute your microphone when you're not speaking. That's in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. You can also toggle your video on and off when you leave your seat, or if you leave the video, you might want to turn it off. However we want to see you. To adjust your view, right now, this view is called the gallery view. And if you want to adjust it just to see the active speaker, you'll click on that speaker view button. It'll just let you see one person at a time, and that's the person who's speaking. And then you can toggle between that speaker view and the gallery view on your end, all by yourself. If you have questions and notes for the speakers, please put them in this chat box here. Don't share the screen, but you can do that chat function at any time during the meeting, except for when there's a speaker speaking. Please wait until the active speaker is finished. And if you need to send a message privately, you can do that as well. This meeting will be recorded. It's our policy that by participating in our meeting, you agree that a recording will be made available publicly on our YouTube channel and on our website and other social media sites. If you're interested in joining our club and you're watching this as a recording, please go to ato.toastmost.org. And this is our website. And start here where it says become a member. And if you're watching and you want to visit us at any time in the future, on Wednesdays at 11:55 is when we start our meetings. You can click this button to just be teleported right inside any day at our meeting times. And at this point, I'd like to say, welcome to Advanced Toastmasters Online. I will be your Toastmaster for the day. My name is Dawn Nocera, and I am in Columbus, Ohio, where it is messy, sloppy, and wet right now. We're recovering from a lot of snow this morning. And our mission for this particular club is that we are an advanced Toastmaster club which supports maverick leaders in creating greater impact by providing advanced feedback on online presentations and leadership skills and discovering what it means to be out-of-the-box innovative leaders. So thank you for being here, and thank you for participating in our Advanced Toastmasters Online Toastmasters Club. And today I added our agenda to the chat box. If you didn't get that, I'll do it one more time for anyone who's in here who wants to click on that agenda and see what it's like, see what's going on today. And we don't really have a theme for today, but I'm going to call on our first, we don't have a grammarian, do we? Trisha, did you? No. So I have a word that we're going to use, expectations. And any form of expectations will be our word of the day. And at this time, I'll call then on our timer, Trisha Grow, and let her explain what she will be doing as our timer for today. Trisha, please help me welcome Trisha.
Thank you. It is my duty to keep track of the time during our meeting and show the speakers some cards that will help them know where they stand in their speech. For an example, for a 5 to 7 minute speech, at 5 minutes, they will receive a green card, at 6, yellow, and at 7, red. This will indicate to the speaker they have 30 seconds to wrap up. For our table topics, which are impromptu speeches for 1 to 2 minutes. So at 1 minute, you would receive a green card, 1.5 yellow, and 2 red. And again, you would have 30 seconds to wrap up. And our evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes. At 2, you receive green, 2.5 yellow, and red at 3. And they will have 30 seconds to wrap up as well. I will give a report of the time at the end of the meeting. Back to you.
Thank you, Trisha. And to let you know how our meeting goes, if you're watching from the outside, we have our prepared speakers and we'll have table topics, which are those impromptu speeches. And after that, we'll have our general evaluation section and we'll have our evaluations. So the first speaker of the day is Laurie Whitmore. And Laurie is presenting from Presentation Mastery. This is her first speech in level 2, learning your style, understanding your communication style. Her topic today is leading without bullying. Please help me welcome Laurie Whitmore, leading without bullying.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Hello, fellow Toastmasters. This was an interesting project for me to study about today and learn about myself. The project talks about 4 communication styles: direct, supportive, analytical, and initiating. There was a questionnaire for me to take beforehand to see what my communication style is. And it was interesting for me to notice that I had high scores across 3 of them and a low score in 1. And I'll be explaining those details for you. So the first communication style, direct, is about being decisive and independent and confident, but can also be appeared as a bully, being so focused on results. The next communication style is supportive, to be approachable, sincere, and gentle. To me, those almost seem like opposites, yet I scored equally in both of those. The third, analytical, is to be precise and logical and care about facts, be systematic and task-oriented. Oops, just a minute, I lost my video. And I scored high in that area as well. And the fourth is called initiating, which is being sociable, enthusiastic, and persuasive. And that's where I scored the lowest. So I found that very interesting because I actually consider my communication style all 4 of these. And I would have expected that I would have had an equal score across all 4. I am a bit of a pushy person. Sometimes I blame it on being a New York Jew. So that I was born in New York and moved away from New York by the time I was 6 years old, but I still have that personality of being a little bit pushy, asking for what I want. And interesting, I was not always that way. As a young person, I was meek and not very confident. And it wasn't until after my first marriage and into my 20s that I learned to find my voice and speak up for what I wanted for myself. I would speak up for other people, but that's where the supportive communication style comes into play. But I didn't speak up enough for myself. And all it took was one assertiveness training workshop that I did after I left my marriage. And I've been flying ever since, speaking up for myself, being assertive. And I learned the difference then between assertive and aggressive, hopefully toning it down a little bit. So the title that I chose for my speech, Leading Without Bullying, is this thing I strive for. I strive because my communication style spans so many of these. I strive for being decisive, being goal-oriented, being results-oriented, but not by bullying others, not by being too pushy and too strong-willed. I try to balance it with also being a good listener, which is more of the supportive side. Although I don't want him to say anything right now, but my husband might disagree since he has to live with me. But I do try, I strive. Oh, I keep losing my video from some other thing that's open on my computer, sorry. I do strive for that to bring out that softer side. It doesn't come natural though. My natural method is to be direct, and I have a great example that exemplifies this. Rick and I went to Paris 13 years ago. I don't know any French, and neither did he. We were trying to find the Eiffel Tower. We had taken a train towards that area, and we're on the street corner. I can see the Eiffel Tower. It's within walking distance, but I can't figure out what streets to go down to actually get to the entrance. So I see a policeman on the corner, and I ask him, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me how to get to the Eiffel Tower?" And he goes, "Bonsoir, madame." And I said, "You see the Eiffel Tower over there? I'm trying to figure out how to walk over to it. Do we go to the right or to the left?" And he says, "Bonsoir, madame." So again, I say, "The Eiffel Tower, right there. How do I get there?" And he goes, "Bonsoir, madame." So finally, it took 3 tries for me to get it. I said, "Bonsoir. How do I get over there?" And then he answered my question. I was being a rude American. I was being so direct in my communication style. I was focused and task-driven and just wanted the directions. And I did not greet him first to say good afternoon, bonsoir, before continuing. Ever since then, when I write emails to people, sometimes even text messages, but mostly emails, because my style is so direct, first I write the email, then I go to the top and I remember to say something like, "Dear Dawn, hope you're having a nice day." And then I go to the bottom and say, "Looking forward to seeing you." So I put in those niceties after the fact, because it still is my natural way to first be direct and then fill it in. Now, I could get away with that in email, but in in-person communications, I have to be on guard and remember to be sweet and thoughtful, supportive, and nice, then dive into what I need to do, and then wrap it up with something nice. It's almost like learning how to do a speech evaluation in Toastmasters. The Oreo cookie method of being direct, that's what I strive for. Madam Toastmaster.
Wonderful, Laurie. I so relate to that, especially how you do your emails. I'm very similar, almost to a T. Lots of training. So happy to hear you speak today. And if you could mute yourself, that would be awesome. And I will move on to our next speaker, which is Erin Long. And Erin will be delivering a speech today from level 5 of team collaboration. It's demonstrating expertise and lead in any situation. And Erin's title of his speech today will be Couch Surfing version 2. Couch Surfing version 2. Please help me welcome Erin Long.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Fellow Toastmasters from all around the world. How many of you do love traveling? Please raise up your hand. If there there's one place you go, where would it be? Everyone has a picture in their mind. The venue, the place of interest. You may really imagine that there's beaches around, etc. But then there's a catch. You're traveling alone or traveling basically just really enjoying with your families and friends. You might not even know that city well. Maybe that is only a 1 day travel or a week of travel. Now, what if I have a community that actually allows you to really help you to link up the local cultures? Would that be amazing? Would you love to know more about that city from a local perspective? That's where Couchsurfing is born. Back in 2003, Couchsurfing International was established, and people around the world actually links up with different cultural backgrounds. Just like people like Snowy, he may actually encounter his life in Iceland, but the thing is, he might have a different story than I would if I actually visit to Iceland. I would love to hear the stories, and that's where I began with a team of 6 people to create the lovely community in Hong Kong that called the Hong Kong Couchsurfing community. It was hard, it was tough. And when we were actually starting to even create things to link up with the people, I worked with my team. They were very devastated because no one knows what couchsurfing is. They think that couchsurfing is for people to sleep on the sofa. And that's all, nothing else. And we are trying to correct that thinking that couchsurfing offers even more things. So here's a bit of slides I'm going to share with you. This is the logo that we create on. And pardon me, we are not definitely tech savvy or poster savvy. So this is the best that we can get over the years. Obviously, I would love to have better ones. In the past, it was just like normal. And then we actually try to elaborate and adding more photos in there, but it just make it even more crappy. So we even try to bring the local cultures to life by linking them with the local cultures and showing them around. Same thing when we travel to overseas. We want to be linked up with them. With my team, we're able to do a lot of different things. So it's just like seeing online and you're trying to see the skies and trying to reach further that how many people around the world who are travelers want to have the local experience. And that's where we team start to build up from 6 to 30 to 100. Now we form a community that has 3,000 people with at least 200 hosts that will always welcome you when I come by to Hong Kong. You do not need to stay at my house, you can stay in theirs. At least they will be the first person to actually get you there. And there are different organizations that calls a different name called the Couchsurfing Hong Kong. You can see that logo is even better than us and looks more cooler. But they serve a different purpose for expats. But technically, we're facing a lot of difficulties with them because they are trying to earn money through couchsurfing, which is actually illegal. And we have to actually promote ourselves with this original logo against their very nicely decorated logo. Of course, we are very poor that time. Obviously not poor now, but poor that time. We are unable to even spend some money to make a decent poster or invite a designer. But we have many things that are even better than them. We create events that people will take years to perfect, such as a bar event. Normally, a bar event is just like normal places, like anywhere around the world, there are bars. But when there are bars, they don't know how's the relevant the bar life to your city life. So if I go to Amsterdam and I go to a bar, does that mean that I really enjoy Amsterdam's life? Nope. In Hong Kong, we create this bar experience whereby after this bar, you're able to have a Hong Kong bar crawl. So you visit different bars in different parts of that city, different parts of that location, and we show you and tell the history along with the artifactures, infrastructures, and slowly tell the history why it started to be. It's like a mini tour guide and stuff. But slowly, steadily, we see more and more elements in play. Just checking. Oh, green. Thank you. And then there are people who are always having like problems like, I lost my account, what happens? Can we actually deal with it? We have a support team that's 24/7. 30 people managing a couch surfing group that is very active, and we have to build it from scratch. Sometimes I even lack the communication with my team members. Like original, when I start first, they were like, why am I supposed to do that? I'm just here to have fun. Why am I serving the people? And it takes months and months of talking, letting them see the vision, working along with them, knowing what their interest is. Some people love just socializing and networking. So I place them to just talk with people and entertain them with their story. Some people may love to lead people. So I will delegate them to lead people in their respective fields. So allocating talents would be important in this leading the project itself. And then we created a weekly event, which is all you can eat buffet for $80 Hong Kong dollars. That is around $8 US, which is pretty cheap. All you can eat, all you can drink beer. If you hear the word beer and it brings you to all you can drink, that is a very big deal. And most importantly, we are trying to link up with different people with cultures and then joining them together. And letting them know the authentic side of Hong Kong so that they can travel together as buddies. So these teams are interchangeable, always changeable, but then I'm working with a challenging team that are from different countries, different cultures, and different specific interests. Even one of my members is interested to try to find couch surfing through dates. But I have to control him and control his ego. Please don't harass the girls here. We have to make sure the full talent's in there. And then it grows on, it grows far, and we do weekly events every week from Thursday and Friday, and Saturday sometimes hiking. And with this in mind, this community starts to grow, and I believe that if I am able to grow this community, so can any one of you who are traveling. Share your stories, link out with the locals and travelers. You may discover a different life out there. Back to you.
Thank you, Erin, for a very educational and informative speech about couch surfing. At this time, we are going to go straight into our table topics portion of our meeting, which I'm going to lead. So I have a couple of questions, but I want to, first of all, I want to give you a little bit of background about this, and everyone's going to respond with something, a piece of self-awareness about what I will share with you here in a second. So we all have expectations, and we all deal with expectations differently. And there's a book out there which I have learned to love, which is called The Four Tendencies, where her name is Gretchen Rubin, and she also has the Happiness Project and a Happiness podcast. But this is my favorite book of hers because it talks about the four tendencies and how we deal with expectations. So upholders, they want to know what should be done, and then they uphold the expectations. So they're upholders, and they uphold all the expectations, both internal and external. Questioners want justification. So when I'm reading these, and I'm going to tell you these four different styles, think of yourself and how do you fit in, because that's what the questions are going to be like about. Obligers are people who any expectation is put on them, they're actually obliged. Like they feel, I have to do this. Regardless of whether they want to or not, they have to do it. And rebels want freedom to do something their own way. They don't deal with expectations from other people or from themselves. Rebels are more identity-based, which means that they have to get into their identity in order to take action on something in the outside world. Meaning, I'm a rebel, I can do it. And so, and you can ask questions about these four different tendencies, but if you are ready to answer, the table topic today is, where are you within those four categories or the four tendencies? Are you an upholder, a questioner, an obliger, or a rebel. And if you don't want to speak about yourself, you can speak about somebody else who you know that fits in one of those categories. So I see you are unmuted. Andrea, would you like to go first?
I would actually. I am a rebel who questions everything and then becomes an upholder. The only one I am not is an obliger. Nobody can tell me I have to do anything for any reason. It just doesn't work. I then immediately move into my rebel mode and try to find a way to get around it or modify it or do something else. And then I start questioning their thought process, because why would they even think that they could make me do something I don't want to do? But once I finally decide that it's valuable, I am the person that will uphold it until the very end. And I will make sure that whatever it is, it will get to the very end of it and will accomplish what we're set out to accomplish. People like to have me on their team because of that, because they know that in the long run, if I agree with them, we're actually going to get something done. And it's going to be good when we get it all done, because I've asked all the crazy questions. I push back on everybody to make sure that what we're doing is worthwhile. And then we have something at the end that's a product that we like. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Andrea. And if you would like to be the next person, raise your hand or unmute yourself and I'll call on you. The question is, who are you? Are you an upholder, a questioner, an obliger, or a rebel? And how do you fit in? Or how does somebody else you know fit into one of those categories? Anyone? Let me see. Trisha, Rick, go ahead, Rick.
This kind of a question, good afternoon, my friends. This kind of a question is not one that I normally would jump in to answer. I'm not as much a questioner as some other people in my house are, but I'm not going to say who it might be. And I tend to be an obliger more or less, and upholder. When I learn that something is a requirement or is something that's supposed to be done, I usually follow through and uphold it strong. I do have a bit of a background in law enforcement. And yeah, someday I'll do a speech on that. And because of that experience, I learned that these are the rules and this is what you follow. Is that always good? No, it's not always good. Sometimes I don't like that I follow through that way, but I often have learned that, well, these are the rules and you follow them. And I like to break the rules. I do like breaking the rules and going my own way at times, but I will say that I usually am one that is an obliger and an upholder. Would you agree, Laurie? Yeah, I guess so. Thank you, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, Rick, for answering that question. It's kind of challenging because we're talking about ourselves, and I have found that the rebels are usually the first to answer this one, by the way. You know that you're a rebel right away. So with that, Laurie, would you like to answer this question? Are you an upholder, a questioner, an obliger, or a rebel?
I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel with a cause and a rebel without a cause. I am a questioner. It was so interesting. I was sitting there thinking as Rick was talking, maybe that's why our marriage works, because he's two of those and I'm the other two. I am the oldest in my family, the oldest child, and I used to question everything. Sometimes in the Jewish religion, it's not a religion, in a Jewish home, one of our Jewish values is to question authority. It comes from probably, studying Torah and questioning every little written word for hours and hours and hours. The sages would talk about a single word. And so there's this value of questioning authority in a good way, in a positive way, not necessarily in a rebellious way, But when you're a child like me, or the child that I was, you take it to an extreme, you become a questioner and a rebel. And I was definitely a rebel in my time. I was born just after the hippie movement, and I was yearning to be a hippie, and I rebelled so hard against the establishment and against everything that my parents wanted me to do. And I became a hippie living in a log cabin. My father sold electrical appliances for a living, and I was living without electricity. My father was earning a lot of money, and I was rebelling against having any money at all and chose to live poor. It took me 4 years to learn that being poor, I was searching for happiness, and I learned the hard way that being poor doesn't make you happy. So then I stopped choosing to be poor and went to work, got a job, and found other ways to be happy. But I am definitely a questioner and a rebel. Back to you, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, Laurie. And I love learning about you. Erin, would you like to answer the question, are you an upholder, a questioner, an obliger, or a rebel?
This is hard for me. In terms of these four components, the first thing that rings to my bell is I'm a rebel. But then, ironically, the other thing that comes to my mind and the angel sense would be the upholder. I never obligate to do things unless there's a responsibility, and I never questioned unless there's a necessity. So a rebel and an upholder, how does this complicated relationship comes by? So I would be the one that is breaking the rules. When I say breaking the rules, meaning the rules that is set by man-made people. Meaning that many years ago, like, or rather saying 2 years ago, I exposed a scam that's happening in my district whereby empty votes are actually used as an election tool. And I got the whole district against me. Not just that, I even exposed the scam for money laundering and also got the whole district against me. Hopefully it's not recorded. It's recorded. Oh gosh. So it's going to be recorded for everyone to see it. And I'm upholding on the terms of integrity, what should be done and what is supposed to be transparent for the members. So I thought I did the right thing, but it turns out that I'm being labeled as the wrong or evil guy. So I'm the type of person, because of my legal background and as a lawyer, I love to uphold the clear definition of what is right and what is wrong, though there is a gray area. Gray area is subject to the circumstances. But I uphold honor. Whatever I promise to people, I will do that. But then if there's something that breaches my integrity with things that you are trying to get a better position in life, I rather uphold and break their rules to stand upright. Otherwise, I'll regret for my life. Literally speaking, to this very day, I have never done anything that's against my conscience. And never against my conscience, even though the district is against me in the past. Now it's better now. I have been trying to show them that I'm upholding my way of life and Toastmaster life through proper ways that's following the compliance of bylaws. So, ladies and gentlemen, those two elements would be fitting me, because rebel is the eyes of the people who wants disruptiveness, and upholding my own integrity makes the sense that I will live upright for the rest of my life. Back to you.
Very good, Erin. Thank you. And I think we have a time for Trisha to answer this question if you would like to, and I will time you. Laurie will. She's got her papers ready. So, Trisha, are you an upholder, a questioner, an obliger, or a rebel?
Well, I really appreciate this question as to what people expect from me, what their expectations are when they ask me something. I also, along with Erin, I think I have two completely opposite sides. My initial reaction is that I'm an obliger. I will try and say yes. I want to help you. But I also like to be a rebel. I like to break the rules or try it a different way, or why do we have to do it the way we've always done it? Can we try to do it some other way? So I have these two different integrations of myself where I want to be a people pleaser. I want to help you, but sometimes it might not look like the way that you initially thought the project should look, because I am a rebel and I will try and figure out a different way to do it, or try and make it look different anyway from the outside. Just recently I asked about adding a theme to our area contest, which was looked at like I was insane. But then I thought it would be fun. Anyway, they said no. So I have to oblige to the district's order. But yeah, I think that I'm both an obliger as well as a rebel. Thank you.
I love learning about everyone through these questions. I think that it brings out the best of us and those stories that we don't always just share, but this is like the greatest place to share those stories. So I appreciate that. At this time, we're going to move on to our evaluation portion of the meeting.
Dawn,
And yes,
do we have time for you to take 2 minutes to answer the question?
we probably do. Yes, I'll take a minute. Sure. If you haven't guessed already, Toastmaster,
Good.
I'm a bit of a rebel, and I'm the kind of rebel that I have had to learn to kind of put myself into an obliger role when in order to save my relationships. Meaning I will look to how can I help you? The Tricia said, like, how can I help, or what do I want to do? That's not my normal reaction to any request from me is like, no, do it yourself. Or, and it's a very immature kind of feeling, but that's my natural response to most all expectations for me. And in this book, The Four Tendencies, she talks about how rebels are the kind of people that if you tell them to if you make a rule to put your car keys in a certain spot in the house, the rebel will actually put the car keys out just outside of that. They just cannot follow the rules. They have to put it right outside of it, and they just cannot force themselves to actually put it into the spot that you ask. That's me. I am unapologetically, I think I've tried to apologize many times because I know how painful it is for the people in my house to live with me sometimes. However, I've learned to embrace my rebel tendencies. I call it now maverickness, and I've learned how to embrace that part of me and to actually make it work, because there are definitely things that work better when you have a rebel. There are definitely things that fall apart. So thank you for allowing me to let you know that I am a rebel, and I can also be an obliger if I force myself to in order to save relationships. So back to you. At this point, yes, I'm going to turn it over to Andrea, our general evaluator for the day, and let her take over evaluation portion of the meeting.
Great. Thank you, Dawn. I just wanted to verify, Dawn, are you evaluating, did you evaluate Erin or did somebody else?
I did. Okay. I have it, unless Rick did on as well, but I don't know. I have them written down here. So
I am the general evaluator. I get to evaluate the meeting as a whole, but very first what I want to do is let our evaluators evaluate the speeches. So let's pass it off to Andrea, who's going to evaluate Laurie today. Laurie, I thank you for your speech today. It was a great speech. As always, you're so engaging. Your stories are wonderful. You have an innate ability to very clearly demonstrate a topic through your stories, and it engages us and makes us think about how we are using the same skills or the whatever it is that you're talking about in our lives. One of the things that we've talked about in the past, and I have problems with this, so I just wanted to show you what I have been doing, and that is I use one of these, and let me put it up close, to mark where my camera is so that I remember to look at the camera. That's something that all of us still have problems with. So, Laurie, I want to remind you or encourage you to put something on your screen just to remind you where the camera is so that you, when you're pan back and forth, that you come back to that spot so that we know that you're talking to us, because you do have a tendency to let your eyes wander off. The other part, and I just want to mention this, is that as you notice, I'm moving my hands around, but you can't see them. And that happens a lot. There were a couple of, one I actually like that you did, that you hand gesture that you used that went off the screen, was the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower is out there somewhere, and I thought, oh yeah, it is kind of like off over there somewhere. So I like that one going off the screen, but try to get them inside the screen. Again, your stories are so poignant and so fun, and you have such a good command of the English language. I rarely hear you say or have one of those awkward pauses that denotes that you're putting a placeholder in, even if it isn't an and or an your language flows, and it's like listening to you can't. There's the good highs and the good lows, and they're always at the perfect spot. And I just wish I could do it as well as you do. So I thank you for your amazing speech today and how engaging you are. Back to me, the general evaluator. Yay! And now I'm going to pass it off to Dawn to evaluate Erin's speech.
Do we want to do a quick round robin for Laurie?
Sure. Let's do a round robin. Anybody want to jump in here?
I will just add to Andrea's evaluation that I really enjoyed Laurie's speech as always, and I love it. I love her adding the interpretation of the project, because that helped me understand what she was doing. It helped me understand where she's coming from. So I just wanted to say that, and back to you, Andrea.
Thank you. Erin, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I thought that it was very nicely crafted for the speech itself, because the most important element of the speech is really customizing it to fit the speech objectives or the communication style. And she did really well. And she compared the differences and reinstated the project objectives along again and again, which is brilliant, because especially for people who are just starting that project or don't even know about the project, they get the main point. I love the part about Laurie, just pardon me if I say it correctly this time, that there's no telephone ringing. In the past, usually there's a telephone ringing. And also, I love the voice and vocal variety that you have today. I feel so energized from this speech only. And in the past, most of the time, I noticed that you're presenting like just talking. But today, I feel your energy just connecting with us throughout. So keep it up. I love that positive vibe. I think that will be your most fantastic trait in your communication style. Back to you.
Great, thank you. Or Tricia, do you want to add anything? Okay.
I'd like
Dawn.
to ask you a quick question based on what you mentioned, Andrea.
Yes.
So are you saying that rather than looking at our faces, you look at the camera and that's when it looks like eye contact?
Yes.
All right.
See, watch when I look down at your face, you can see my eyes have moved down, but if I look up at the camera,
All right, got it.
think I'm talking to you. So, Dawn, we're going to have you do the evaluation next.
Thank you. Today I'll be evaluating Erin's speech. And again, his speech was level 5, demonstrating expertise and leading in any situation. The topic was couch surfing. And a couple of things that I noticed was that Erin, right from the start, engaged the audience by asking us a question. He asked us to raise our hand and how many of us love to travel. I love to travel, so I was all into that. There was an explanation of this couch surfing idea. However, I would like to suggest, Erin, that as you or any of us, as we are defining something that will be the main point of the topic, that we give a little extra time in actually defining it. So the whole audience is up to speed on what is couch surfing. I kind of got it. The whole speech felt like a continuation of an understanding of what couch surfing was. I kind of felt, though, at the end, I still had questions. How does that tie? I still didn't get the couch part of it. Why is it called couch surfing? I sort of understand that, or maybe I'm just slow, but I would have liked to have had a little more explanation of that. I appreciated that you shared the presentation with the pictures of your couch surfing leadership events and these bar events that you were having. I liked seeing the happy faces, and I did get the main point was it was an authentic experience within the culture. So I'm thinking that was the big point, and if I got that, then I got all I needed to know. And I liked a couple of examples. The one thing I feel with this project that could have been expanded on a little bit, and you did it, I guess you did it well, was you shared some of the challenges with leading this kind of group, because they were all different cultures and you had to do the WhatsApp and you had to do some coordination. So I think that was good. I would have liked maybe lessons learned, possibly, or how does it connect to where you're going in the future? Just a little something else to give us an insight into your goals and aspirations and how, connecting that to your leadership today. And is it still going strong? Is that community still going strong? So I felt like there was maybe a tiny bit of loose ends around that community for me. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech, so I don't know how you would do that any better. You did a great job. I feel like I learned a lot, and I would love to go couch surfing in Hong Kong. So at this time, I'm going to say timing is up for me. And does anyone else, Laurie, you're unmuted. Would you like to add some thoughts for Erin for his speech?
Sure. Erin, I know, or I'm going to assume that perhaps English is not your first language. And I'm finding that I have trouble understanding what Erin is saying sometimes. So in being an experienced Toastmaster and having done so many speeches, I would like to encourage Erin to somehow find a way to enunciate more clearly, because I think I missed about a third of what he said in his speech. I was really struggling to try to understand what he said. So I think that's important feedback. I don't know if I'm the only one who had that difficulty. But overall, I mean, I can still tell that he crafted a good speech and that it was interesting and engaging, but I missed some of the detail. Back to you.
Thank you, Laurie. Rick, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. I really enjoyed Erin's speech today. I really enjoyed the visuals and seeing the different processes that some of these clubs have been doing, such as, getting together for an all-you-can-eat experience, and everybody was happy and drinking and just enjoying themselves. What I've learned about Toastmasters, it was created in 1924 to be an organization to socialize, to get to know each other and have fun together. What I picked up out of what Erin had to say is this is what they're doing. They're working on enjoying and having fun together. I did not have that much problem understanding what Erin was saying, but I was listening very intently, and I really enjoyed his speech. I thought there was a lot of merit to what he had to say. So thank you.
Thank you, Rick. I must be my
Help you with the timing so you can slow down a little bit for those of us who might have a hard time understanding you, is that negative part where you're comparing yourself to that other website, that other service. I wouldn't even go there. I would just talk about your service and how wonderful it is and what you're providing, and show your pictures. Don't even bring them up, because that's going to actually cause people to be curious about this other company that has a name very similar to yours. So that was my view, is what I thought is I wouldn't even go there. I would just concentrate on your company, show what you provide, and don't even mention the other place.
Okay, back to you, Andrea.
Thank you, Dawn. At this point, Tricia, I'd like to have you give us the timing for today.
All right. If Laurie could type my table topics in, I'll add that to my list. For our prepared speakers, Laurie, you spoke for 7 minutes and 28 seconds, and I think you and Erin conspired, because his speech was exactly 7 minutes and 28 seconds as well. And for our table topics, Andrea spoke for 1 minute, 16 seconds. Rick, 1 minute, 17 seconds. Laurie, 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Erin, 2 minutes and 29 seconds. And I'm not sure how long. Oh, mine was 1:40. And Dawn's was 2 minutes and 7 seconds. And for our evaluators, Andrea spoke for 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Dawn, 3 minutes and 23 seconds. So everyone was within time. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you. Yay. As always, I think our meetings are a lot of fun. We started on time today. Everybody filled in where we needed to fill in. I would like to see us try to get a grammarian in there somewhere occasionally. I know that that's an easy one to drop, because we are all advanced Toastmasters and we do a fairly good job of leaving the uhs and ums and so's out of it. But I just like to have the expectation of somebody checking up on me with my uhs, ums, and so's. So that would be the only thing as far as that is concerned I would like to see happen. We did a great job of staying on time. I noticed one thing, we tend to move more toward the red zone than a non-advanced Toastmasters group. We know where that edge is, it appears, and we move toward it. I think that's kind of funny and enjoyable about who we are. We like to talk, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't be here. Dawn, thank you so much for the table topics. That was a fun one to hear how everybody responded to it, and how we all are different and how our combinations are different. And you're right, I am a rebel, and I did want to say something first because I am a rebel. So that was great. I love also our round robins. We're very articulate and helping each other to grow in our ability to be online doing these topics. It is very different than being in a brick and mortar building. We do have a very finite area in which to do what we're going to do, and that's difficult. We have, like Dawn today, you had a couple of legs, and so we have to be kind of aware of what that is and how that works in our lives. One of the things that I have found myself doing occasionally, especially Dawn, when you're having your legs, I just close my eyes because your voice still comes through, but it just doesn't connect with your face, and that kind of, my brain just wants to fix it somehow. So if it happens, go with it. Close your eyes for a moment. Just let it happen. She's going to catch up eventually, and it will be all good. And same with everybody else. I know, especially when the weather is kind of mucky and slushy and those kinds of things, we have more issues with that. At this point, I'd like to give the control of the meeting back to our Toastmaster for today. So Dawn, here you go.
Thank you. Thank you for a wonderful meeting. I find it interesting that we can still get two speeches in, 2 evaluations, table topics, and the round robins, and we still have a couple minutes left. It is a very efficient way to do a Toastmasters meeting, having them online. There's not a lot of the in-between speakers standing up, taking it to the front of the room, which I think is a benefit for a lunchtime club. If you ask me, I just think it's great. I'm going to open up our agenda, and you can all unmute yourself, and I'm going to put it on the gallery view, stop the